Hi, everyone. Hoping you all can hear us. We're just getting going with our Community Grants 2020 webinar presentation. So thank you all for joining us. We're really excited to have you all here and to kind of walk through this year's programming. Okay, so just for some brief introductions, my name is Chelsea Clark. I'm Programs Associate here at the Miami Foundation. I'm joined by our other Community Grants core team members on the Programs team, Alex Rosales, Programs Associate, and Valerie Crum, Senior Programs Associate. So we'll start by giving a brief introduction to our Community Grants program, what's new this year, as well as eligibility requirements and the overall process to apply to the program. And then a little bit later on, we'll dive deeper into the themes and focus areas for each fund within our Community Grants 2020 program. And then we'll open it up towards a little bit later on towards the second half of the webinar for a Q&A for anyone that would like clarifying information about the program or any of the focus areas. So just one quick housekeeping note before we get started. As any questions come up, please feel free to enter them into the webinar chat box. And we'll do our best to get everything answered by the end of the presentation. All right, so what is Community Grants? So Community Grants is the Miami Foundation's signature program through which we honor more than 100 donors who created permanently endowed funds, entrusting the foundation to support the issues that matter to them forever. Thanks to their generosity, we award more than $1 million each year through the program. The grants provide support to organizations and initiatives that improve local quality of life in three focus areas: opportunity, resilience, and creativity. Within the opportunity focus area, there are 4 subcategories, including well-being of children and youth, affordability and housing, healthy lifestyles, and a new fund this year, which is the inclusion of people with diverse abilities. The foundation is interested in funding program-related services and/or advocacy efforts that can advance change. We'll go into more detail on each of these towards the second half of the presentation. So what's new this year? For those organizations that may have applied to our Community Grants program in the past, you'll notice that 3 out of the 4 subcategories within the opportunity focus area have remained the same. These are well-being of children and youth, affordability and housing, and healthy lifestyles. So one exciting update, as I mentioned briefly just a second ago, for this year's program is the addition of our inclusion of People with Diverse Abilities Fund. The foundation seeks to expand availability of and access to community resources so that people with disabilities can thrive in productive, purposeful lives and are increasingly integrated into all aspects of our community life. We'll provide more detail and information on this subcategory later on in the presentation. In addition to this new subcategory, you'll find revised PreProposal questions. These revisions will hopefully allow organizations to hone in on your unique value add to the community, to better tell your organization's story, and to allow for more understanding of the measurable impact that you anticipate achieving through your project. We'll go through the PreProposal questions later on in the presentation as well. All right, so the eligibility requirements for the program. So organizations that have 501c3 public charity status with the IRS or projects with an established fiscal agent can apply. The organizations must be based in or have initiatives within Miami-Dade County and must serve a population of which the majority is Miami-Dade County residents. While we give preference to strengthening nonprofits based within Miami-Dade County, we also encourage participants or partnerships with those outside Greater Miami to potentially bring high-quality programs to our community. Additionally, to be considered for a 2020 grant, current grantees must be in compliance with the terms of previous foundation awards. If you have any questions about this, please reach out to your grant contact. All right, so the grant amounts and use. The award amounts range from $5,000 to $30,000. The grant size will be based on how strongly a proposal advances the foundation's priorities, its scale, budget, and the nonprofit's capacity to implement the program. The grant dollars may be used for costs directly related to implementing a program, such as salaries of program staff, marketing, supplies, local travel, and other things such as this. Proposals may include reasonable indirect overhead costs as long as they are related to the proposed program. We encourage that if organizations include any indirect overhead costs in their budget, that it be no more than 10% of the total budget. Also, just to add into this, funds cannot be used for memberships, fundraising events or campaigns, endowments, memorials, or reducing deficits. So as far as the application process, each organization may submit one proposal. If a program is a collaborative effort between 2 or more nonprofits, partners must select one nonprofit to serve as the lead applicant. Partnership proposals are often some of our strongest applicants, but of course only one organization can apply and be the lead applicant. Colleges and universities may submit up to 3 proposals from multiple departments, but just keep in mind that we will consider these competitively against each other as well as other applicants. All right, so a little bit more about the process and the timeline. So there are 2 stages to the program. The one that we're currently in now, the pre-proposal stage, which opened up last Tuesday. And then the second phase is the pre-proposal, or the full proposal stage. From the submitted pre-proposals, the foundation will select applicants to invite to submit full proposals. In the pre-proposal, organizations will be asked to select one of the focus areas. When appropriate, the foundation may shift a submitted proposal to a more relevant focus area. Organizations that are invited to submit a full proposal will then respond to additional questions through the online platform. Full proposals will be similar in length to the pre-proposal and will expand on details of implementation, targeted populations, goals and outcomes, and program sustainability. Within the full proposal, organizations will also be asked to include attachments of the proposal's budget, an organizational operating budget, and your board of directors list. While pre-proposals are reviewed internally by foundation staff to move on to the next submission round, full proposals are reviewed by external review committees made up of subject matter experts, foundation board members, and donors. Committee members change from year to year, so it's important to remember that there are always fresh eyes and new perspectives coming to the table to review each year's full proposals. And just to emphasize the key dates for each submission phase. So the pre-proposal submission phase opened up on January 14th, which was last Tuesday, and the deadline to submit online is February 14th. And we estimate that the notification for all invitations to submit a full proposal will go out on March 20th. And then from there, you'll be able to submit all full proposals with the deadline being April 10th for these. And just lastly, to access our online portal to submit an application, please go to miamifoundation.org/grant programs to find the link to the portal as well as the online application portal user guide. All right, and so now we're going to dive a bit deeper into the questions that we pose on the pre-proposal application. So Alex here is going to go a little bit more into detail on those.
Good morning, everyone. This is Alex. Thank you so much for joining the webinar. Next, we'll go over the 8 questions the pre-proposal asks of applicants. And you'll notice that in the shift of previous cycles this year, we did change some of the questions to allow applicants to highlight their experience, demonstrate how they conduct assessment, measure impact, and to tell us the specific communities in Greater Miami that they intend to serve or advocate in. So you'll notice in the pre-proposal question number 1, where we talk about purpose. This is about where and what do you want the Miami Foundation funds to support. We ask all applicants to be as specific as possible in this question. In question number 2, we talk about a statement of need. Basically, this is what have you learned as an organization about the community that you work in or communities that you work in, as well as what needs have arisen based on your experience. Question number 3 is approach. What specific activities will your organization undertake to address the need, and what phases of development are involved in order to address that specific need? For target population, we're asking where and who in Greater Miami do you want to work with? Who is this program intended for? We'll also ask you to be as specific as possible in this question. For assessment, we're asking how you track or measure success and what outcomes are you expecting to see. When do you know you are successful? And what changes do you anticipate making throughout the development of the program? For qualifications, we ask that your organization tout your expertise, achievements, how you overcame challenges, what challenges you're possibly facing, and then an example of at least one or two partner organizations that help you succeed and create that everlasting impact. For number 7, we have a diversity, equity, and inclusion question. This relates to either staff, board, constituents, and the communities that you work with and represent on the basis of race, ethnicity, gender, identity, sexual orientation, disability status, and geography. What actionable steps have you taken or are taking to ensure meaningful diversity, equity, and inclusion? And finally, number 8, we ask about site location. Where in Greater Miami do you site your programs, and where is the bulk of the work that you do situated? Note that for all these questions, there are character counts listed, including spaces. So we ask that you be as precise, as specific, and as clear as possible. The full proposal questions will be released upon invitation to submit a full proposal. This will happen around March 20th. The next area of focus, we are going to take a look at the themes and the focus areas for each category. The first one is about opportunity. These are categories intended to address the rapidly changing trends of Greater Miami in general and making sure that residents, regardless of identity, are equipped with all the measures and keys for success and equitable development. So for the first new sub-focus area, we have the inclusion of people with diverse abilities. The Inclusion Fund will serve with people with intellectual and developmental, physical, sensory, or mental health disabilities. And the most important thing to know about this category is that all organizations are eligible to apply, including those organizations that want to increase their capacity in this community and want to create a fully inclusive community through integrative programming. Through community inclusion, we're interested in funding other organizations that want to invest in integrated programs and services. This includes staff trainings or organization certification. Other needs that the fund seeks to address include the need for expanded early identification services for children with disabilities, the gap in services for young adults with disabilities to successfully bridge their adulthood, the need for competitive employment opportunities for individuals with disabilities, and the need for additional resources to support primary caregivers of people with disabilities. We have a strong interest in supporting community collaboration, reaching historically underserved residents or areas of Greater Miami, and advancing leadership by impacted individuals. For well-being of children and youth, we look for proposals where youth not in very favorable conditions are equipped with the necessary tools to advance their physical health, educational readiness, or achievement from early childhood to career. Among the many successful proposals in the past, they've identified the need for education disparities among elementary school children to be addressed, as well as the need for employment training, opportunities for adolescents and young adults in underserved regions of Miami, as well as day-to-day needs of children in foster care. For affordability in housing, the foundation is aiming to improve the residents' abilities to meet cost of living challenges by increasing their earning potential, financial stability, as well as providing for safety net basic needs and expanding the quality housing, affordable housing options throughout the community. Among the successful proposals we've had in the past, many have addressed new housing development and preservation in underserved areas on vacant land, as well as microloan opportunities for small businesses and community voices within policy advocacy for expanded affordable housing options in Greater Miami. Then we have healthy lifestyles. In this proposal, we're looking for proposals that promote healthy behaviors that support heart health and prevent heart disease among residents of all ages. Among the successful previous applicants we've had the need for nutrition and fitness programs for underinsured women, healthy food via food pantries, education, and prevention activities for heart disease.
Thank you, Alex. And I'm going to go over the next category, which is resiliency. So basically, resiliency grants will focus on strengthening Greater Miami's ability to adapt to our unique environmental, growth, and socioeconomic challenges. So it's a pretty broad category as well in some respects. So these efforts could include advancing solutions for threats to our physical environment, protecting our environmental resources, adapting to sea level rise, and also as well as things such as improving transportation options. Additionally, this could, proposals could be framed around increasing public engagement in understanding and taking action on environmental, growth, and socioeconomic challenges that our community faces. In addition, you could also submit a proposal around encouraging residents to take ownership of a certain issue through organizing and advocacy within their community.
Great. And the last category is creativity. For creativity, the Miami Foundation is interested in supporting organizations that want to activate the arts and elevate culture in places where community or business life might be dormant, or engage people who typically lack access in experiencing the arts or developing their own artistic abilities. They also would like to support raising the profile of less visible cultures, social issues, and using the arts to create connections and exchange between residents from diverse cultures and walks of life.
All right, great. So going into, all right, so the office hours. So we know that many of you have already signed up as a part of office hours to kind of get additional information and help. So just as a reminder, so organizations that are considering submitting a pre-proposal are encouraged to register for a 30-minute phone call with Foundation staff to learn more about the program, to introduce new organizations and programs, and to discuss program development and evaluation. So there's still time slots available for office hours in early February to chat with our team. So feel free to visit our website's grant programs page to sign up through the calendar link on that page. Okay, so key dates. So just as a reminder, the deadline to submit in this pre-proposal phase is, oops, looks like we went ahead of ourselves there. Okay, yeah, so the deadline to submit in this pre-proposal phase is February 14th, and the estimated notification to all of those who submitted a pre-proposal application, those will go out on March 20th, and then from there, the full proposal phase will open up, and with the deadline to submit being April 10th. And the estimated notification of all grant awards after the full proposal stage is the end of May, around May 29th. All right. So if you have any questions, please feel free to continue typing them into the chat box, and our team is now available to answer any more specific questions that you may have. And if you don't feel comfortable answering or asking them through the webinar, you can definitely feel free to reach out to me via email at cclark@miamifoundation.org to follow up on anything more specific. All right, so we are now going to dive into questions. Let's see what we have. Sorry, it looks like we're having a little bit of an issue. I don't know if it's with our internet, but it's just acting very slowly. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we were invited to submit a full proposal for a program last year, but we were not funded. Would it be appropriate to apply this year for a modified version of the same program? So yes, it definitely would be appropriate to apply again for a modified version of the same program. As I mentioned, each year, as far as the full proposal review committee, it changes from year to year. So there's definitely going to be fresh eyes this year reviewing your application if you do indeed make it to the full proposal round. And it's just always good to be able to kind of take another look at the program and just consider how you may have improved in certain areas, or how it may have changed. Okay, so next question, what if my project fits within multiple categories?
Hi, everyone. If you think that your project fits into multiple categories, first of all, that's fantastic. Thank you for doing that. Keep in mind that we are able to move your proposal if we think that it will be more competitive in a different focus area, but we encourage all applicants to think about what the goals, the long-term goals are of their proposed program and see which fund best aligns with those goals to decide where to submit your application initially. If you have additional questions, that's a great conversation to have in our phone office hours or in some of the in-person office hours sessions that we have coming up.
Awesome. Okay, so the next question, we are a new organization. Will that hurt our chances in trying to fund our project? So not necessarily. It really depends on your proposal overall and the strength of the programming. In these cases, we do strongly recommend that you pull in different partnerships, if at all possible, with other nonprofit organizations, maybe like the school district, any institutional partners, anything like that may have a bit more experience, just because that does add a little bit of weight to your application. But we'll definitely be considering all projects regardless of how long you've been working within the community, specifically in this project. Okay, next question. How many projects do you tend to fund per category, or does it depend on the quality of applications per category?
So that depends on the quality of applications per category. And of course, you'll notice on the focus area section of the guidelines that there is a given amount per category of funds. So for the well-being of children and youth, we tend to fund about $550,000.
Great. Next question, do you prefer projects that involve partnerships among multiple organizations? So while we do definitely encourage partnerships, we think overall it makes the proposal stronger. I wouldn't necessarily say that we prefer them overall, because definitely one organization can still have a very strong proposal on their own. But we definitely take note with organizations working together to be able to kind of complement each other's weaknesses and strengths. Can an organization that is newly, that just applied for 501c3 status, so an organization that just received 501c3 status apply? So yes, definitely, as long as you are registered with the IRS as a 501c3 public charity, you can definitely apply. The next one, a little bit more specific, is what are some examples of past projects in the resiliency category? So it kind of varies. I know last year we saw a couple that were related to obviously more environmental, helping to protect and sort of mitigate environmental challenges. But also, just thinking more about the diversity of resiliency in general, we saw some that focused more on sort of civic engagement and, voter activation, voter registration, those sorts of things. So it's much more broad than just sort of how we would necessarily traditionally think about resiliency as far as environmental concerns.
There's also a link on our website that's samemiamifoundation.org/grant programs to review last year's grantees, all of last year's grantees, including in that resilience category, if you want some more examples of who we funded previously in these sections.
Awesome. Next question, if you are partnering with another organization, do you need to include their financial information as well? So no, you do not. So what we talk about when we mention partnerships, and if you have sort of a collaboration of multiple organizations coming together for one proposal, you just need to select one lead applicant out of the group, and then from there you'll just need to submit the financial information for that one lead applicant. One other question, do the pre-proposal questions have to be submitted online? So yes, they do. So for both stages, the pre-proposal as well as the full proposal stages, all of the applications must be submitted through our online portal on miamifoundation.org on the grants programs page. Okay, so we're going to stay on for a couple more minutes. Just if you have any other questions, just make sure that you type them into the chat box and we'll make sure that we answer them.
All right, so we have a question about the programs and advocacy line on our guidelines. Yes, we are encouraging, this year we are encouraging organizations to propose their support for their programs, but in addition to that as well as advocacy. So this includes any opportunities where an organization can engage the communities that they serve or work with to advance some sort of civic or policy change.
All right, and we'll stay on for just a couple more minutes, just in case anyone has any additional questions. Okay, so next question, is a program budget required at the pre-proposal stage? So no attachments are required. It's just basically completing the 8 questions on the pre-proposal application and then submitting online. So as far as the program budget and all the other attachments, the financial information, that will come in the second round, the full proposal stage. Okay, so the next one, can you speak to the grant reporting process once a grant is awarded?
So once a grant is awarded, we do require 2 reports. One is an interim report and the other is a final report.
And we'll take just this final one last question. Have you funded religious organizations whose projects align with the initiative? So definitely, as long as your organization is registered with the IRS as a 501c3 public charity, we will definitely consider all organizations that submit applications that align with our broader categories. All right, well, thank you all so much for joining us. Just as a reminder, we are going to be posting the recording of this webinar on our website on the Grants Programs page. Again, my email is cclark, so cclark @miamifoundation.org. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to get information to you. As well, just one last reminder about our office hours. The link to sign up for those is on our website, Grants Programs page as well. And we do have some additional time slots open towards the beginning of February, so feel free to sign up for those. All right, thanks so much, everyone.